Hello everyone, and let's talk about the generative AI training secret transforming associations, specifically customized generative AI workshops, which serve as a catalyst for change. These replace the typical passive learning of traditional sessions, webinars, and training sessions with more hands-on engagements, where participants directly apply generative AI practices to solving real-world challenges. So what you want to do in a workshop is focus on what people will actually be doing and customize it to the needs of each individual association to make sure that you focus on things like automating workflows, personalizing member interactions, whatever your staff and your volunteers need. Now, you want to make sure that it's tailored to diverse member demographics and tasks, whatever you're doing. And think about tools for managing chapters, planning events, boosting inclusivity for your volunteer leaders, for example. Internally, you want to support operational excellence in marketing and communication, in finance. And so you want to make sure that it's aligned with your mission to guide your staff members and your volunteers. And also think about providing some workshops for your members as part of your association's annual conference. So you can have a workshop as part of a conference, so have it be part of a conference track. Now, traditional training, when you just have traditional training in generative AI, it often doesn't really address the specific unique needs of associations. Instead, workshops that are specifically customized to the needs of your association is what will foster collaboration and real practical application and use of generative AI tools. When you're thinking about building out an effective generative AI workshop program, you need to have some foundational sessions to just demystify generative AI tools for folks who might not be very familiar with them and focus on basic applications, as well as having some more advanced modules to cover predictive analytics, data-driven decision-making. Have real-world scenarios that enhance learning through relatable challenges that come from practically what you're doing in your association. So make sure to tap some internal experts who have some familiarity with generative AI to share what they've been doing. And then, of course, have external experts who know how to train on generative AI workshops, people who specifically know how to work with associations and who have experience training associations on generative AI. For example, I worked with a national association that has regional chapters and multiple member demographic sections. And what they did is that they sought to enhance both internal efficiency and volunteer engagement and thus volunteer effectiveness with generative AI. What we did is we had some workshops that resulted in streamlining of administrative tasks like member renewal and event logistics, and those were especially for volunteer leaders, as well as some strategic planning and resource allocation using generative AI that was for staff use. Then chapter level workflows to reduce administrative burdens, those were really helpful for volunteer leaders. And we also focused on underrepresented groups, so those section demographics, to help them do their job as well. As a result, productivity of staff members increased by 25% through task automation, and volunteer leaders increased by something like 30% because there was a lot more upside to gain there. Member engagement metrics like event attendance improved by 15%, which is great. Volunteer leaders expressed 20% higher satisfaction and confidence, and there was a growth in 25% in volunteer leaders choosing to return to leadership roles rather than stepping off chapter board positions because they were tired and overwhelmed. And there was more of a broader cultural shift of embracing generative AI as a mission-critical ally. So this is the cultural impact of generative AI adoption in that association. It fostered a mindset of more innovation and strategic thinking. Chapters began to increasingly share generative AI best practices and promoted a more cross-organizational generative AI strategy. Staff and volunteers were able to collaborate more effectively on key initiatives, and that created a ripple effect of positioning the association as a thought leader in its industry sector. So, to think about actionable strategies, make sure that you integrate internal priorities and experiences and experts with external generative AI consultants with expertise to provide a workshop. Include diverse scenarios customized to your specific association's needs to reflect your organizational challenges. Use follow-up sessions for these associations, not only foundational sessions, but follow-up sessions, advanced sessions, and then get information and feedback to have additional sessions for what worked well, what didn't, and what needs to be further developed. And measure success. Measure success through metrics like productivity, engagement, innovation, and satisfaction. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please email me with any questions at gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com. Again, gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com. And please make sure to subscribe to this channel for future videos like this.